today about cybersecurity, which is such an important thing. And I'm sure you'll have lots of questions. So if you have questions, put them in the Q&A section so we can tackle them right at the end of the presentation. Of course, keep your regular comments right here in the chat. I'm going to turn it over to Aaron to introduce himself.
Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day and lives to, yes, definitely tackle the subject of protecting your business from cybercriminal activity. For a lot of people, it scares people. You hear things in the news, all that, but it really is an important thing, especially for small businesses and the transitions that we've been seeing cybercriminal activity being focused on. So, all right, I will get this kind of going into the next slide. So, all right, a little bit about Fuse Networks, my company. I'm the director of sales with Fuse Networks. I've been with them for almost 2 years now. I've been in IT since 2011. Prior to that, I was in real estate, and I love the transition to IT. It's the backbone of every company. It's your data is your gold mine, and it's super important. But a little bit about Fuse Networks. We've been providing professional IT managed services and support for businesses in and around the Puget Sound area since 2009. We really strive to give our clients enterprise level services and solutions at prices that work for small businesses. Time and experience have enabled us to build a proactive approach that aligns technology, people, and process to deliver on the promise to our clients. And through that approach, we've created a competitive advantage that allows you to keep the focus on your business and not on your IT. And our true mission really is to be the trusted partner that transforms technology into an asset by taking the time to understand the business before layering on our best-in-class support, proactive tools, and strategic oversight. So that being said, one of my favorite quotes is from Benjamin Franklin. It's, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And as we've all heard in the news, cybercriminal activity is at an all-time high through a wide variety of different tactics, and they're only getting more and more sophisticated and harder to spot. And while we mostly hear the large breaches that take place, and that seems to be on a daily basis nowadays, what we don't hear is the activity in the SMB market, or the small to medium business market. Cybercriminals have increased activity targeting SMBs due to weaker security posture and vulnerabilities as a result of low or even non-existent IT budgets, paired with an increase in remote workers. So now that a high percentage of people are still working from home and many still on their own personal computers for work, security threats have become rampant. And it's an extremely lucrative business for cybercriminals, and it's definitely here to stay. So just the global damage caused by cybercrime last year in 2021 is estimated to have reached over $6 trillion. That's a huge, huge figure. So not only that, paired with Bitcoin and all that other stuff, it really, from a traceability standpoint, it becomes a lot more difficult. So we will get into what is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is really, it's the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks, usually aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information, extorting money from users, or interrupting normal business process. And a lot of the common types of cyber attacks that we'll see, I'm not going to jump into all of them because we could be here for 2 to 3 days. But malware is when users accidentally install bad software when they click on bad links or download fraudulent files. And malicious software then blocks network access, transmits data, or renders your system inoperable. Phishing, one of the biggest schemes in today's world, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. But one of the common aspects of social engineering, but it's when hackers steal sensitive information or convince users to install malware by posing as a legitimate source or a company. Email is one of the easiest targets for phishers, and they can easily impersonate businesses and attack unsuspecting users. And there's the man-in-the-middle attacks, where attackers intercept messages between two trusting parties and it creates capability of stealing important information, just like eavesdropping on a conversation. So zero-day exploits. Hackers find security vulnerabilities in software regularly, and this is a major cause for recurring software updates. And after hackers discover a vulnerability, they network to install as much malware and gather as much sensitive data as possible. And then there's distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS attacks. That's when attackers overwhelm systems or networks by directing a high volume of unwanted traffic at them. And really the goal is to paralyze the target by exhausting the available bandwidth and network resources. And then there's passwords, everybody's favorite. Users leave their passwords laying around and hackers get a hold of it. Once the hackers get into the system, they can install malware or steal sensitive information. A lot of times passwords can be used across multiple platforms, as well as people have a hard time remembering hundreds of different passwords based on the different applications we use on a daily basis, social media sites, other software as a service, all that good stuff too. So, and really, phishing, because it's such a it is the most, it's becoming really widespread. So we're going to take a look at some real life phishing and business email compromise examples, so that we can kind of get a good feel for what you're actually seeing in your inbox and how to identify a lot of different perspectives. So shared file notifications. These are all real emails from my inbox that I've just kind of done a lot of different things with. So you can see a lot of times from the sender, they'll pose as who you are. We don't use this. It's not all one word. It's fuse.networks with a capital N. And where the email actually is coming from, I have no idea who that is, right? So we have programs installed that will block unsafe attachments. Even if you try to click on it, it will tell you, it'll ask you 5 times if you really want to open this, and finally let you know that you need to ask your administrator for permission to have that. Also too, they will put in, there's common ribbons that you probably all seen, receiving emails from other people if you don't have it installed in your own environment. But the sender has been verified from safe senders. That's actually false. That's something that they put in there. Really what they're trying to get you to do is open up the shared notification and enter your credentials, and that results in bad things. The next one, security alerts and password resets. You'll get these a lot. A lot of times it'll have a Microsoft Office 365 or Windows marker up on the upper portion, tell you your password is set to expire, and you're advised by your organization to change or keep using that. Keep your password, then you got to log in your credentials. That goes to bad perspectives. The big key factor here was PW support, and then who knows what mevo.no is. So sometimes they're easy to spot. The next one is the fake quarantine email. This one looks a lot more official. Mail delivery at fusenetworks.com. Somehow Barbara at internationalwim.org is sending this, though, on our behalf, I guess. But it looks a little bit more official, right? Office 365, new pending message, release the message, then you have to enter in your Office 365 credentials, and those get compromised. So, and let's see, here's the same one. I tend to get quite a few of them. It looks the same, but this one is from Greg Schur at websure.com, and it's the same thing. So you can see the same tactics being used across, just multiple people. So look out for those. Shared documents. This is big right now, especially with Dropbox, SharePoint, larger files. You can't necessarily, even zipping them doesn't really reduce the size enough for it to actually send, but somebody's sending something via SharePoint or Dropbox. Once you download or you click that button, you click the download or review here button, it's going to have you enter your credentials. So it's just another way for them to target and obtain sensitive company data. Purchase order adjustments. That's really, really common in, accounting departments, that kind of type stuff. They get POs all the time, accounts receivable. This is from Mike at queenappliance.com. And I actually really like it when these come in, because I'll look up whatever the domain is and who the contacts are, find out who it is, and I'll call them and say, hey, I just received an email from you. Did you send me a PO adjustment? And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So that proposes another conversation, obviously, but fax documents as well. It's you just even click on the link and it'll tell you that either you've been hacked or ransomware, all that fun stuff. RFP requests, this is big too, especially in the services industry, where you can click on the RFP to see what the request is. Once you do that, it'll have you create an account. And what that is geared towards really is most people use their email as their username, and they will use the same password across multiple platforms. So the likeliness that once they obtain those credentials, they can log into your Office 365 account and all that. And really, a lot of times the aim is to, once you obtain somebody's credentials, what they can do is they will go, they'll basically rechange your settings and configurations so that any email that you get in your inbox is automatically sent back to them or a Gmail account. So they can monitor what's going back and forth. And it really is a form of social engineering, so they can better impersonate who emails are going back towards, and then target those people too. With that forwarding rule, what they also do is they mark it as read, so or not to show up. So if you go in your sent items, you can't see any of that. It's all done behind the scenes. And that's a big way that cyber criminals are obtaining information these days and selling that information on the dark web. So my big tip, if an email seems fishy, no pun intended up there, use the SLAM method. The SLAM method is check for spoofing on the sender. Hover your mouse over the link without clicking on links, just so you can see where that link is going. Typically in your web browser, it will show on the bottom left-hand portion of the screen. And if it's not directed to where you think it should be going, then that's a bad email. Attachments. If you think attachments are not what they are, always confirm with the sender. Give them a call, or reply. Don't necessarily reply back to the email that was sent, but send them a separate email or call them and just say, hey, did you send this to me? And then message, read the content. Does it seem off? Does it make sense? Are there misspellings? All of that. But you can see in the prior examples that really there's a ton of opportunity. And to be honest with you, 25% of phishing schemes actually work. People fall for them.
So Aaron, before we move forward, a couple of people are asking for definitions of spoofing and phishing.
So phishing, essentially phishing is when a cyber criminal sends a malicious message to their target disguised as something legitimate, right? So this can be through email, text messages, phone calls, social media, and other methods. But when,
like the stuff you showed on the previous slides. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah,
spoofing is different.
Yeah. So spoofing is when somebody kind of when they obtain your credentials, or if they set up forwarding rules, that kind of type stuff. Spoofing is basically, let me go back here. So spoofing would be, you can set up a forwarding name that will show up just like this. It won't just show your email. But spoofing is basically trying to get tricking you into thinking that it's somebody that it's not, right? This is really common in mobile. devices where when you're going through your work email on mobile devices, it will just say what that forwarding name is or the sender name, unless you actually touch it, and then it will show the email. So this is why it's becoming more and more popular, because it's easier to fool people.
Okay, thanks.
Hope that explains that. Like I said, there are so many different ways and whatnot. Instead of a 3-day conversation on this, I really tried to compile it and compress it into kind of some more of the more popular methods that people are using. So follow the SLAM method. Super easy to remember. Slam it down. Slam the cyber criminals, but sender, links, attachment, and message. So with that being said, and because there are so many different ways security can be configured within your email environment, a lot of people don't know what a cloud solutions provider is. And really, what it is, a majority of small businesses that utilize Office 365, and I'll just take that for example, that they'll purchase annual license subscriptions direct from Microsoft and really are unaware that other options exist, like a CSP, that are far more beneficial. Standard out of the box Office 365 licensing isn't configured to security best practices, nor will have proper and adequate monitoring and alerting, which really leaves vulnerabilities and potential risk of breaches to take place. So on top of that, contacting Microsoft for tech support is beyond frustrating and creates a ton of downtime. But however, utilizing a CSP for Office 365 negates the above and really proactively sets you up for success with a dependably secure and supported environment. So there's a lot of different benefits to using a CSP, and Microsoft is really reducing their support levels for kind of the SMB market and focusing more so on enterprise level. So they're passing the buck down to create opportunities for the cloud solutions provider market, CSP market. So with that, we will move into cybersecurity statistics regarding small businesses. So these are all statistics on companies with less than 500 employees. All right, so fact number 1, small businesses saw a 424% increase in cyber attacks this last year. 43% of SMBs do not have a cybersecurity plan in place. This is why the percentages keep rising, and there's a lot of open vulnerabilities that cyber criminals will take advantage of. All right, fact number 2, 40% of small businesses experienced 8 or more hours of downtime due to a cyber breach, which accounts for an average of 1.56 million in losses. Small businesses spend an average of almost $1 million to restore normal business in the wake of successful attacks. That's not just paying ransomware, that's everything around that. Attorney fees, cyber forensics, how did the breach occur, all of that. How do you get all that data restored and back to normal business? All right, fact number 3, over 92% of breaches are delivered via email and caused by human error and negligence. It's people clicking on those links, oh, let me see this RFP opportunity, oh my goodness. It gets really exciting. And fact number 4, over 60% of small businesses do not recover from a breach after 6 months. This is a very, very scary figure. Recovery cost is too high, they don't have it. Data not recovered, and then reputation's tarnished, as you need to notify all of your customers that a breach has taken place and what actually has been compromised within that. After that notification has been made, a lot of people don't want to do business with you anymore because you're not taking that and their personal information seriously. So it's very hard. So one thing to take into consideration is why consider outsourcing your IT. Really, there's a lot of benefits. A majority of small business leaders aren't aware that MSPs or IT department as a service exist. and they just struggle with dealing with IT on their own. So this slide really conveys the benefits of utilizing such a service and how it can make your life easier, creating better business efficiency gains and not having to deal with the IT nuances, again, to keep your focus on moving your business forward and not your IT. So you get all the different benefits there. I don't want to capitalize on those too much because I want to spend a majority of our time on this next slide, which is super important. A lot of different things that you can do to protect yourself at work, at home. I'm going to go through these kind of one by one. Most importantly, have a password set for your at-home Wi-Fi. I mean, it should be a given with your business, but with your at-home Wi-Fi, you'd be amazed at how many people do not. And this is an easy way for unwanted attackers to penetrate your home network and take advantage of vulnerabilities. Furthermore, a lot of times broadband routers are often outdated, and it really allows attackers to hijack the router and potentially redirect specific traffic. So in addition to this, home networks are often exposed to other unprotected devices, often from kids and other members of the family. Next, updates and patching frequently. So work applications like Office 365, Google, Dropbox. This also includes your mobile apps as well as your mobile phone's OS. App updates are released frequently and usually to address a security vulnerability or a zero-day exploit, as I explained earlier, not just enhance the experience. So, on iPhones, on your app store, when you see the little red button with a number in it, that's how many applications have available updates. I try to do mine every couple of days. At least try for once a week. Just make it a habit of consistently updating those, because it really is for your security, as a lot of security policies within applications are updated and will help better protect you. Absolutely. I don't know why this one disappeared, but the most important, really, adding antivirus and anti-malware protection. So there's a variety of different products out there on the market. If you're on a Windows 10 device, make sure the free version of Microsoft Defender antivirus is installed at a minimum. Using Microsoft Defender for threat detection should be your starting point for the best antivirus security on Windows. And most people will find they don't need to go any further when it comes to nailing down an antivirus solution. But for those non-Microsoft fans out there, Bitdefender has a free subscription that is top rated. However, keeping your personal data safe and guarding your privacy extends beyond virus protection. And that's where third-party antivirus software shines. A full protection package can monitor your Windows operating system as well as Mac OS, iOS, Android devices. Also include a password manager, secure online backup, identity theft protection, a VPN, parental control, webcam protection, protection against phishing and malicious websites, and more. All worthwhile security suite tools that can keep your data secure and guard your privacy. If Windows isn't your thing, look at Bitdefender. Also take a look at Norton 360 with LifeLock or McAfee Total Protection to give you some peace of mind. Both are top rated. So using a virtual private network or a VPN, it's really vital for keeping your online browsing safe from prying eyes, and encrypts all of your online traffic, making it secure in case a hacker attempts to capture your data in transit. Some antivirus and malware software include a VPN, but if you're not too certain for that or want to take that to the next level, there's a couple of good ones, ExpressVPN or Surfshark or DuckDuckGo. Those are a few to look at. Do not utilize free VPN services on their own. You get what you pay for. The bigger thing, create strong passwords or use a password manager. So working remotely has become routine for many of us and anticipated to stay that way for a high percentage, which means it is more essential than ever to secure your online accounts with strong passwords. I know it can be challenging to memorizing dozens and dozens of passwords, so it's downright dangerous to use the same old password over and over again. And if you find yourself consistently getting locked out of online accounts, or it's because you're drawing a blank when you're trying to log in, what was it? What did I do? What did I change it to? What number did I add to it? It's really time to consider a password manager, which can help you seamlessly oversee and handle all your login credentials. They're also handy for autofilling forms and syncing your data across Windows PCs and Macs, iPhones, iPads, Android phones, and much more. It'll also have a vault locker for important document storage as well. So for around $3 a month, like 1Password or LastPass, there's a lot of them out there. They'll keep track and change your passwords with your one and only password to remember. So it's worth its weight in gold. Weak or reused passwords cause 81% of data breaches and are sold on the dark web. So the next, enabling multi-factor authentication. Really, this is a way to add additional security when opening an application or a user account like your bank, Comcast, Office 365, social media. It's a secondary validation that you are who you are. You can use an authentication app. You can provide a PIN number. You can receive a text with code only available for 10 minutes. A phone call in which you push pound from the IP recognized device. You can adjust the settings to whatever method you prefer, but it really is, it's that extra layer on top of username and password. But I strongly recommend looking into a password manager. You can get family plans, so they're like $6 a month, but you can share different accounts. So like say like Netflix, right? Everybody would have access to that, and that would go across all your devices as well too. So okay, and deleting old accounts no longer used. So if there's an application or site you no longer utilize and it gets hacked, then your credentials can be compromised and used across other platforms that you currently use too. So really encourage you to delete a lot of older accounts that you don't necessarily use anymore. And use your work laptop or work device for work only, not for personal, and vice versa. As you know, your personal device typically does not have the proper security configuration set to best practices, and it predominantly won't adhere to company mandated security policies, which can cause further disciplinary action down the road if a breach does occur. Highly recommend investing in a cybersecurity education platform. It's really for employee education and awareness, and as well to document employee acknowledgement on security policies. So this really strengthens your frontline of defense. When employees are trained to look for certain things, they're less likely to click on links and potential breaches to take place. So also relevant information about today's cybercriminal tactics are conveyed as well too. The numerous ways and methods across a lot of different platforms, not just email that we went over. It really gets you to think about it a little bit more, so that it is a fool's paradise out there and they are out to get you. Also, business-wise, have your employees sign a security policy. This really helps paint a clear picture of what is acceptable use and what is not. And from a business leadership standpoint, it can also hold an employee accountable if a negligent event occurs due to them violating that security policy. So, and first and foremost, have a disaster recovery plan in place. How do you back your data up? There's really a lot of strategies, but the most recommended is a 3-2-1 strategy, meaning 3 copies of data on 2 types of media, with 1 being offsite, such as in the cloud. So that's always really important. But considering IT managed services too, as there are many facets of IT and complexity in every arena, it's really impossible for one person to know everything about IT and keep on top of every solution out there, as there's a ton of stuff. So basically that's kind of it. Are you ready to improve your business and achieve the results you're really after? Stop worrying about IT. That's why Fuse Networks is here. Focus on your business and moving your business forward, and be more than happy to entertain a complimentary consultation with you. Or if you have follow-up questions that aren't answered on this portion of the segment, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Alignable. We post our blog content 3 times a week. It's kind of all across the board, as IT is widespread. But it's good information. It's things that a lot of times you don't think of, and it's not necessarily super IT, all the acronyms, everything like that. It's easy to digest and pretty layman's for the most part. But I appreciate your attention today and registering for this event. I hope you got a lot out of it, and more than happy to open this up for Q&A. I know it was a lot we went through.
That was, yeah, it's always a lot when we talk about this topic, especially since we've never done it before. So we have got plenty of questions. So
I'm sure.
All right, let's see. Do you recommend a specific password program?
Yeah, 1Password or LastPass, both do a great job. There's quite a few out there. It really, a lot of times they'll have like little demo videos. Just watch little videos, see what's going to be right and most appropriate for you.
Okay, great. They pretty much all do the same thing, right?
They're all a little bit different, but really, it's I personally use 1Password. I really like it. It's easy to use, easy to access, and I just like how it's all laid out on all my devices. So
great. All right. Talk about, if you could, credential stuffing. This is an easy gateway to things that matter, like bank accounts. Says David.
Yeah. So it's, again, when you utilize passwords across multiple platforms and one of those gets hacked, there's a variety of ways cybercriminals will take what that password is, and they'll run algorithms on what would necessarily be associated or how they would change it in different patterns based on information that they've received. So you can basically go to a lot of different bank accounts and start applying these. For the normal person, it would take one after the other. Cybercriminals have programs that it'll do it all for them. So,
all right, great. Someone is asking if this recording will be available later. Yes, it will be. We'll put it on our YouTube channel, and I'll put the YouTube channel in the chat right now. There it goes. All right. Let's see. JP says you may want to mention phishing as well. I haven't even heard of that one with a V.
So the funny thing is, there are so many different ways, and like I said, out of the gates, literally we can talk about all this for 2-3 days. Basically, the variety. I can send everybody out to more of the numerous ways of social engineering and different phishing techniques, different phishing descriptions, but it's phishing is more so it's practice of phone calls, leaving voice messages, perpetrating to be from or pretending to be reputable companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information, bank details, credit card numbers, what they can use against you in order to extort further information or money.
All right. What email security do you use that puts the security banners in the email?
We use, you can use advanced threat protection. That also has safe links, safe attachments. We use another advanced monitoring and alerting program, and that handles a majority of perspectives. There's a lot of underlying things that we set up in configurations as well too, just to make sure that it's adhered to best practices or recommended best practices. I can't get into a lot of proprietary information.
Not laughing at that. We're laughing at this next question. Can you do anything about the people who call my mobile phone 2 or 3 times a day about my car warranty?
No, I get them too.
That is infuriating. I get that all the time.
I mean, you can put your phone number on the 800 do not call list. That doesn't seem to work. So yeah, we're all in that one together.
It does seem like mobile and text is like the new way that they're coming in now instead of just email.
Yeah, it can be, because it's a much more convenient way to get that. And just like email spoofing, I mean, you can do number spoofing. You can set your caller ID to read this when it comes in, whatever the case may be. A lot of business VoIP systems will have some advanced software that they deploy to eliminate as much of that. If phone numbers are kind of more on that registered spam list, you'll see, like I have AT&T, and if I have an incoming call, it'll say spam risk on it. I usually don't pick up calls from unknown senders that aren't in my contacts list, so let them go to voicemail.
Yeah. All right. Is there a way to know if you've been compromised and your emails are being sent CC'd without your knowledge, since it doesn't show in the sent box?
One of the programs that we have in our CSP program that we do wrap in our Plus Security product is it's an advanced monitoring and alerting system. So what that does is any unusual activity, it creates an alert. If somebody's trying to log in from out of the country into your system, from different IP addresses, that kind of type stuff, it creates an alert and can freeze accounts just to make sure that nothing does take place. We definitely recommend change password immediately. But yeah, it monitors and alerts. There's not a whole lot of stock add-ins with Office 365 that you can do on your own, which is why a lot of people are moving towards the CSP program, because all that is added in for you.
Okay.
There is a cost for it, but
all right, let's see. Do you okay, do we have access to information on how to insure against a cyber attack? Loss of business income, ransom payment, reputation harm, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I talked to your business insurance agent about cyber liability. Cyber liability policies, they will have different and they'll have different requirements, essentially, that you have to have different things set up within your environment, and those vary drastically. Cyber liability policies are expected to go up about 75% due to the amount of breaches, which is why they're really starting to require employee education awareness platforms. It just kind of documents how employees are. It really helps you see and address who might need a little extra help, who's not getting it, and identifies your risk, essentially. But yeah, they vary heavily, and they are going to become more and more expensive as time goes on.
Okay. Let's see. 2 people asked about this. Do you recommend pen or penetration testing, and how often?
Yeah, a lot of times too in cyber liability policies, they'll require penetration vulnerability testing once a year. But I mean, it depends. It can get pricey. We typically we'll do an initial IT security assessment, which basically analyzes your entire system, endpoints, all that, recognizes where vulnerabilities are, and produces a 6 to 8 page executive summary with all the identified vulnerabilities, and then high, medium, low risk associated with that. So, and then we put together a remediation plan. So if you ever do get audited, that's usually the first place or thing to do if you haven't done penetration testing before.
All right, if you are spoofed, should you be concerned that your identity has been stolen?
I mean, it can be sometimes. Really, I mean, if you ever recognize anything, the biggest thing to do is say something first. Let somebody know. Let your supervisor know. Let your IT department know. Let your managed service provider know. That way, they can look into it and basically kind of halt the string on where it is. The impact with not saying anything is, as time goes on, it can just that activity can impede further and make things a lot worse. So always say something. Always speak up, regardless of if you're embarrassed or oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. But even if spoofing, like I said, I mean, it's pretty easy. You can create an email and then create a heading for that email, so it looks like it's coming from somebody that you know and recognizable, unless you actually hover over it or are able to see the actual email address. So,
okay. A couple of people asking about VPN. Where can I get my own VPN, and approximately how much do they cost?
I mean, it's across the board, right? If you Google, VPNs with your phone, if you have like I said, Norton 360 or McAfee or whatnot, a lot of those programs will include a VPN. A lot of password managers will include a VPN as well. But you can do, well, let's go back to, oh no, it wasn't there. ExpressVPN or Surfshark, DuckDuckGo are a few to look at, but if you want, just Google, highly rated, highly ranked VPN services. That'll get you go there, and it really kind of boils down to personal preference or what's going to be most appropriate for your needs. So watch the little videos on them. Most all of them have like little intro videos. If not, you can find them on YouTube. And choose, what's going to be most appropriate for you.
Okay. And someone is asking, can you confirm that DuckDuckGo has its own VPN service?
That's what DuckDuckGo is. Basically, it's a VPN service. It keeps you hidden, and your internet surfing kind of behind the lines.
So that's like if you were to do like an incognito thing on a search engine, right? Same thing. Okay. All right. How does someone ascertain your password in the first place, even if it's weak?
Pardon me?
Not that we're giving tips on how to hack or anything, but it's a question.
So what we didn't really cover, because it can get really in depth, but so the dark web is basically cybercriminal eBay to a certain perspective. It's basically compromised credentials that are packaged and sold, depending upon what information that you have. If it's just username and passwords, those can be bundled. I have a program that I can run against your domain that will basically search the dark web for compromised credentials. And I can tell you what those passwords were. I can tell you what breach they came from. I can't tell you how much they were sold for or how many were sold, but it'll at least let you know what was compromised. So password 123 is also not a good password to use, especially with an exclamation point behind it.
Yep. Okay. What security education platform do you recommend?
The one that we use, I mean, there's multiples out there for private perspectives. We use one that we kind of white label. It's called Breach Secure Now. That is only sold to partners, so it's not publicly for sale. But it's really neat. It's a great platform that really, you get a weekly video series. You've got it initially every year. You're required to take an annual security assessment test, which you watch a 20-minute video and then you take a 20-minute test. We have them for, just regular kind of IT cybersecurity awareness. We have another program for HIPAA and other compliance perspectives, if that's part of your business as well too. But Breach Secure Now does a great job. I'm sure a lot of people that are on this webinar, if I've had a one-on-one with you, I kind of put you into the video series release every week, and I send that out on Thursdays. And it's kind of, they're really cool. They're layman's terms, but it gets you engaged into, I didn't even realize that. Vacation scams or shopping scams or a lot of different things that it really heightens the awareness and to make you a little bit more, I guess, cyber savvy. So you're not falling for, the different techniques that cyber criminals are using.
Okay. Let's see, what happens if we say we're doing security on a cyber insurance policy and we aren't, or our IT lied?
Well, you're going to get in a lot of trouble because once if an audit takes place and you don't have the security policies in place that you say you do, I mean, that's a breach of contract essentially. So you're not going to get, a policy payout.
All right. If personal Gmail has been found on the dark web, should I change my email address or go to something else like DuckDuckGo? I have obviously changed my password in all related programs.
Yeah, I mean, change your password, right? If somebody's in your system, they're not going to be able to get back into your system if they don't have the correct password, right? So if that password has been changed within your domain, then that will cure the cause. From a longevity standpoint, make sure that you have a complex password that's a lot harder to figure out. I know that, I've been guilty of it in the past of, maybe a pet name or a family name or something like that. And then the same number 3 times and then, a symbol 3 times. So it's easier to remember. But then when you're doing that across multiple platforms, like I said, how many of those can you remember, right? And then it gets frustrating, racking your mind on, what did I change that to? Or darn it, whatever, then you got to reset it again. And then you forget that one. And then it becomes this rolling process, right? So password manager will take care of all of that for you.
So speaking of password managers and things like that, is it safe to store your passwords in a browser like Chrome or something like that? It always asks you, do you want to save this password? And it's certainly easy because it's an autofill.
Yep. Well, we'll take Google, for instance, right? Google does put a lot of different security measures out there to protect that. However, it's not 100% protected. Google has been hacked before. Any platform, basically it's change your passwords, often. And again, that's the beauty of a password manager. It takes care of all that for you. And not only that, you don't have to worry about, your iPhone saving passwords or Google saving, username password combinations for you. The password manager takes care of all that for you from their platform across all different devices and across all different applications that you use.
Okay. Question about Windows 11. Should we upgrade to Windows 11 or continue to wait before we do that?
Anytime a new release comes out, right, there's going to be a lot of bug fixes. Personally, we're waiting on that. You get a lot of things ironed out by waiting, and legitimately, you don't really have to do that at this point. Upgrade to Windows 11. So we're holding off for right now.
Okay. How often should you change your passwords?
It really depends. I mean, a good habit is every 6 months. A lot of organizations and their security policies will require every 90 days. But I mean, if you get hacked immediately.
Nope. All right, I'm going to ask you one last question because we're going to have to wrap up. Wow, we had a lot of questions today, and there's more.
This topic always does. Like I said, it can go 2-3 days long.
Yeah, but let's end with this one. What is the best thing to do if your business has been the subject of a cyber attack?
A, report it, number one. B, talk to an IT company. They will, be able to hop into your system, figure out what's going on, perform the necessary forensics, and get you at least back in the shape that you need to be. They'll also, assist with, restoring data, all that other stuff too. So contact an IT, a managed service provider or whatnot, but at least report it first.
Right. Okay, so let us end on that note. It is almost 1 o'clock. It's 12:53 already. That was a lot of information I know you took in. We're going to put this up on our YouTube channel by the end of the day today. And if you have any questions for Aaron, his information is right there on the screen, so you can get in touch with him. Aaron, a lot of people are asking if they could get a copy of this PowerPoint.
I don't have a problem with that. Nope, that's fine.
And so they can just email you and. So.
Yeah, you bet.
Yep.
You bet. Or I can, whatever other questions or resources that, you might be looking for, shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to help you out or point you in the right direction or, talk further about a specific subject, deeper dive,
Yep.
all that good stuff too. So yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to reach out.
All right. Great.
I love my BNI family. So I try to support as much as I can.
That's great. Thank you for that. All right, everyone, give yourselves a CEU for being on today. Thanks all for being here. We'll see you again next Friday. Take care. And Aaron, thanks again.
Thank you, Steve, for the opportunity, and thank you everybody for attending. I hope you got a lot out of it. And as again, follow up with me if you've got further questions. More than happy to help out.